All right, well, hello again, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's BU Alumni Career Webinar, Burned Out to Turnt Up, How to Create Daily Fulfillment in Life and Work. My name's Jeff Murphy. I'm a member of the Alumni Career Engagement Team in the Office of Alumni Relations here at the university. Today's webinar is offered to our 352,000 alumni around the globe, and of course, all of our current students who just finished finals. If that was you, congratulations and welcome to summer. Throughout your career, BU is committed to helping everyone define and achieve your professional goals. And we aim to do this by providing all of our students and alumni with access to a series of valuable online tools and social media communities. Again, as I said before we get started, I know we have some folks tuning in from some very far away places today. Please know we really do value your participation in this and every event that we offer online or around the world. Before I introduce today's speaker, just a couple of housekeeping notes. Today's presentation is being recorded and will soon be made available for on-demand viewing on the BU Alumni Association website, which you can find at www.bu.edu/alumni. And our speaker today is very eager to answer any questions you may have. You're welcome to submit them throughout the presentation using the Q&A box, separate from the chat. Again, just hover over your screen on Zoom, click on Q&A, go ahead and type in your question at any point. We're going to save plenty of time at the end to make sure we get to those. And I know we might actually also use the chat, again, to have a little bit of an interactive conversation. You're welcome to put your questions in there too. I'll keep an eye on that. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day, BU School of Hospitality alum, Jocelyn Toll. Jocelyn is a bicultural Latina on a mission to empower a generation of purpose-driven professionals to live their boss life, that's B.O.S.S, boss life, without burnout. After overcoming her own experience with mental burnout and applying her integrative nutrition, health, coaching, education, Jocelyn launched her wellness coaching business to help professionals overcome the emotional fatigue from unhealthy relationships, toxic work environments, or lack of purpose. Her approach emphasizes mindset reframing and integrative health practices to support individuals in achieving their most confident, joyful, and healthy life. Jocelyn, I'm super delighted to have you here with us today. I'm going to go ahead, I'll turn it over to you if you want to get your slides up. I saw them earlier, they look wonderful. Thank you for the time and effort you put into those for everybody today, but we're really glad to have you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone for showing up today. I'm very excited to be giving this presentation and having you all here for figuring out how to go from burned out to turned up, how to be a boss in life and work so that you actually have that fulfillment and enjoyment in your everyday. Awesome. So I know we have people from all over the place. This is so exciting, guys, because clearly we're going to have some boss people all over the world. So this is amazing. We have like almost every continent out there. So to get us started, first and foremost, I want to share with you, who this workshop is for, because I think it's really important for all of you here to know that there's going to be a lot of value that you're going to get from today's presentation. And you're going to get a lot of value from today if any of these following things apply to you. So for example, if you are today open to thinking about things in a new way, if you are here because you care about personal development just as much as you do about professional development, and this is going to be valuable for you if you're willing to ask yourself some hard questions and be honest with yourself. But fundamentally, I think where this workshop is going to be most valuable for you to understand how you can have and enjoy daily fulfillment is if you're focused on transformation. Because let's be real, Google has way more information than I do. I mean, Google's going to beat me any day, but Google can't give you transformation. And so if you're focused on transformation today, not just information, this is going to be worth your time, and you're going to want to stick through to the very end. All right. So if this is you, if any of these apply to you, you're in a great spot today. Now, first and foremost, I want to kind of transition here to a term that I know Jeff has already mentioned in my bio, and it's in the workshop, this of being a boss, right? I know there's a B.O.S.S, and you're thinking, okay, Jocelyn, are you just like really emphasizing this, or what's going on here? Let's talk about what is a boss first and foremost. And so what I'd love for all of you here today is to actually, again, open your chat box and write on there, what is a word that comes to mind when you think about a boss? What is a word, a phrase, but what is just something that comes to mind for you when you think of a boss? When you envision a boss person, what comes to mind?
Andrea chatted in with strong.
Awesome.
Christiana said authority. Carissa said ambitious.
Yeah. Great.
Claudia, control. Vinay, guidance. Lynn says in control again.
Amazing. Yeah, this is great. Leader. Wonderful. Okay, great. So you have a vision right now about what a boss looks like and some characteristics that you guys have just shared, right? In the previous slide, we talked about thinking about things in a new way, and that's what we're going to do right now. Is we're going to open our minds to redefining what a boss is, and not just in the workplace. Because a true boss, you will find, and you are actually more of a boss than you realize, not just in your work, but in your personal life. Okay, so let's find out what a boss really means. Okay, so a boss is someone who is brave. A boss is someone who is optimistic. A boss is someone who is self-aware. And a boss is someone who is self-confident. So let that sink in for a second. Because when we're thinking about, hey, when I think of a boss person, like, oh, and you're feeling that groove, like, what is that? What are they embodying? What are those characteristics? It is these things. And to describe it more in depth in terms of in your day-to-day, what that looks like, someone who's a boss is someone who is confronting their challenges and fears head on, even when they don't fully know what the outcome is going to be. A boss is someone who believes that their future only gets better and that the universe is actually working in their favor. A boss is someone who understands their habits, their tendencies, their beliefs, their values, and uses that knowledge to not only better themselves, but to better those around them. And finally, a boss is someone who trusts their skills, their experience, their intuition, and their intelligence to make the best decisions, again, for them and for those around them. And personally, to me, someone who I believe really embodies these things in everything that they do is someone like Michelle Obama. When I think of Michelle Obama, I'm like, she embodies all of these qualities. And to me, it's someone that I'm like, wow, she is a boss. When she is, whether she's in front of millions of people or whether she is just with a small group of people and talking one-to-one. So that is someone who's a boss, someone who's brave, optimistic, self-aware, and self-confident, right? And that doesn't just apply in the work setting, that applies to your life and who you are, in your day-to-day. Okay, so now that we've talked about what a boss really means and how that shows up in your day-to-day or in your work, let's talk about now and shift gears as to why you're here today. What brought you to this workshop today? What kind of piqued your curiosity? You're like, yeah, burnout. I know a little bit about that. And I would like to just feel a little more fulfilled in my day-to-day. Like, I want to know, right? I want to know how to do that. So let's talk about the challenges then, that like the reality of the present. So for some of you, that joins today's workshop, what might be happening a lot is that you feel like kind of you're just coasting along and you're just doing the bare minimum. But at the same time, somehow you feel like you have all these things to do. You have 1,000 things coming at you, but you're just not doing any of it really well. And that is causing so much just exhaustion and overwhelm because you just don't know how to, what is the direction that you need to be going. And it's making you feel as though perhaps I'm not where I want to be. I'm falling behind in life. Right? This is not where I thought I'd be. This is not the job I thought I'd have. This is not the kind of relationship I thought I'd be in. This is not where I thought I'd be living. So these could be some of the very real kind of beliefs and things that you're feeling right now in terms of the challenges that you're facing. But I also want to kind of share with you the future and the opportunities that lie ahead for you to actually feel confident, feel like a boss in your life, and have that fulfillment in your day-to-day. And the opportunities that lie ahead for you are, this sounds so basic, but it's true. You can actually feel happy and healthy in your day-to-day and feel, wow, this is good. Like, I'm good where I'm at right now. You can actually be doing things that you feel are very rewarding and fulfilling to you. You can actually, your energy, you can actually feel inspired and energized in your day-to-day and feel like you're actually leading a life that you're like, yes, not only did I see myself here, but it's more than what I imagined. You're leading the life that you saw for yourself, and it's even better than what you foresaw. Those are the opportunities that lie ahead. And there's this gap, but we're going to bridge that gap. I'm going to help you and share with you at the end the framework to how to bridge that gap and some mistakes that you're making right now that are kind of keeping you stuck in where you're at. Okay. So before, though, I share with you the mistakes that perhaps are keeping you where you're at and making you feel burnt out and overwhelmed and just confused and lacking clarity, I want to share with you my story and the story as to why this is so important to me and why I'm here and why I'm talking to you about this. So literally a year ago, I was sitting in this beautiful conference room. There was these floor to ceiling glass windows, and they were overlooking the California East Bay Mountains. And there's these beautiful trees outside, and you could see like the wind blowing, and I would and look outside, and then I turn my head and look inside to all these empty executive chairs in front of me. And I started feeling this kind of uncontrollable kind of like tremor or shaking around my body. And I felt like my breathing was becoming more shallow. And I pushed back from the desk, and I put my face, or I buried my face in my hands, and I was thinking to myself, like this thought popped in my mind. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I actually here? What am I doing? What am I making right now? What am I creating this presentation? There's no one here. Like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? What am I doing with my life? And what I did is I closed my laptop, I walked outside and got a breath of fresh air. And I went on a walk, cleared my head, breathed a little bit. And what happened was, a week after that episode, what happened was I came to the realization that this opportunity, this job where I was in, was not serving me, was not what I saw for myself. I had an amazing job. I worked at a venture lab. I had an amazing team, an amazing supervisor, manager, great pay. And yet somehow I felt like I was dragging myself and forcing myself through this job that I was just not, that was draining me, and it was burning me out, wearing me out. Because I felt like I was giving everything, every ounce of my energy and my time to something that I just didn't understand where it was going. And a week after that happened, after that episode where I was just felt like I was going to burst, I had a conversation with my manager. And I told him, I said, I am going in a new direction and I'm giving my 2 weeks notice. And at that time, when I had this conversation, I want you to know something, that what was at the forefront in all of this was that I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be a failure. What am I doing? I'm going to be a laughing stock. My family's going to be so disappointed. There were all these fears like in my mind, racing in my mind. And yet I made the decision to say, today I'm taking these fears and I'm putting them on the side. And I'm going to have this conversation because this is going to get me towards where I want to go. And that was the turning point for me. And fast forward to today, a year later, oh my gosh, guys, I've always dreamed of having my own business. I never knew what, and now I know what it was through all these other things, but I have my own business. Did I ever think I'd have a business at 29? No. And yet I have my own business. I thought that was something for when I was like my 40s. And yet I have my own business and I'm loving it. I live closer to my family now than I ever have in years. And I get to spend more time with my family, I have better relationships with them. And honestly, in terms of my health, I feel great. In terms of my day to day, I'm energized. I can handle things. I can tackle challenges, unexpected and expected, and I'm feeling awesome. And of course, there's challenges, but either way, regardless of that, I know that I'm in the right direction. And I share this story with you because, before I kind of go forward, I just want to ask, who here, relates to, oops, oh gosh, sorry. Okay, I clicked the wrong thing. Here we go. We're gonna get there. I want to ask you guys, who here relates to my journey? Who here is feeling that, sense of confusion, of overwhelm, of fear, of like, but I should be doing this, but I want to be doing that. I think this is the direction I want to go. If anyone wants to share in the chat, be like, yes, I relate to that. I relate to those fears of saying, I'm afraid of what people will think of me. I am afraid of, what my family would say. I'm afraid of being a failure, right? Those are all very real fears. And we all experience them. And right, and we're all in different points of this journey. And what I want you to take away from this, from my story, and I think which is the most, beautiful piece to all of this, is that you're only one decision away from the most fulfilled and empowered you. I'm a firm believer of that. Guys, you're literally one decision away. It's not this whole elaborate thing and everything, but you are one decision away, and you know what it is. You know what that kind of little, say, voice or that little intuition your body's telling you, oh yeah, I need to have this kind of conversation with my partner, or oh yeah, I need to have this conversation with my manager or my colleague. Right? You are one decision away. And that changes everything. And what I want to help you now in the next slides that I'm going to share with you is helping you understand, what are the mistakes that are keeping you from making this decision? And then what are the ways now to build that framework for you to be able to have that confidence to say, I am going to make this decision. Okay. All right. So the exciting part where there's going to be a lot of downloads and cool information coming your way. So we're going to turn to now, what are some mistakes that you're making right now that are contributing to your burnout? And they're holding you back from actually feeling happy, from actually feeling fulfilled in your work and your personal life. So, mistake number 1 is finding or looking for the right time. So, story about this, right? When I decided to have this conversation with my manager, oh my gosh, the backstory to all of that is, do you know how many times I was thinking, oh no, Jocelyn, you need to wait until you've at least completed a year before you make any kind of career move, especially quit, right? And or I'm like, oh no, Jocelyn, right? You need to wait until you have more understanding and knowledge about, right, what it's like to actually build or start a business, right? There was all these reasons for me to say, like, the right time is around the corner. The right time is once I have completed a year of this job, and then I can consider transitioning. Or no, until I have this, I live in this kind of hole or this kind of stability. But guys, the right time, you're never going to find it. You have to create it. You have to choose the right time. So when I had that conversation with my mentor, I decided it is now. Because by you looking for that right time, that is what's building that sense of just, like, that is what's draining you. That's what's building that kind of anxiety of like, oh, but I'm just waiting. And then you're feeling frustrated because things aren't happening. It's because you're looking for it. So don't make this mistake. You have to create it. All right. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 that is keeping you stuck, that is holding you back, is focusing on perfection. So let me give you an example. This presentation, actually, the version that you're seeing right now is version, I can't even tell you how many, probably like 20 something. I've given this presentation now over a dozen times. And let me tell you, version number 1 did not look like this by any means. The content, the look, the appearance, all of it. But back then, in August of 2021, when I decided I want to create a presentation, a workshop to empower people, that first version did not look like what I envisioned. And if I had instead said, no, but I have to wait until I have the right fonts. And oh, wait, but that picture, I don't like that picture. We need to change it. No, Jocelyn, if I had waited until that image of perfection was complete, I probably still would be making corrections today and not actually have learned from saying, this is what I have now. This is the version I have right now. This is the output. Here's my workshop, get the feedback and move from there. And this version wouldn't be possible had I not done all the iterations beforehand. So choosing perfection or focusing on perfection only keeps you fixed on a specific outcome and does not allow for other opportunities or possibilities and for you to learn from them. So that's the second mistake, is focusing on perfection, saying, no, until it's this way, I'm not going to, move forward, until I actually lose the 10 pounds, until I make this money, until I have this house. You're narrowing your vision. You're only focusing on you're boxing your mind and your vision. So that is the second mistake. So the third most common mistake that is very likely actually holding you back and making you feel fatigued and tired most of the time is this of going at it alone. So what do I mean by this? Is I think especially in our society where we want to be very self-sufficient, and we're like, I should be able to do this all on my own. We think like, yeah, I can handle this. I know how to do this. But we're just making it more difficult for ourselves. And what I want to share about this is that before I had that conversation with my manager at the time, I spoke to my family. I reached out to my family and said, I am thinking of transitioning careers big time. And I would like your support. I would really like you to support me in this. And of course, had I not done that, I actually probably wouldn't still be building my business and where I'm at right now. Because had I not reached out, I would have been trying to do it all myself, of saying, you know what? I have so much more on my plate of worrying about, trying to pay, my rent in San Francisco, where it's crazy expensive and I'm uncertain about my income and getting that. And instead, I turned to my family and said, you know what? I'm looking for, I need some support. Do I have it? Thankfully, they said yes. And I have my parents' support. I have my family support. I live at home so that I can build my business, my dream. And not reaching out, had I not reached out to my family, this wouldn't exist, because I would have burned out in 2 months instead of saying, I'm still going at this clearly a year later, and I'm going to keep going at this. I'm building on it. So don't make the mistake of going at it alone. Lean on people to support you. All right. Now that you know what the 3 most common mistakes are that are keeping you stuck, keeping you in your burnout, where you feel like, I just can't seem to move on. I can't seem to progress. I can't seem to move forward. Kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel. I want to ask you guys, and Jeff here is going to help me with putting up a poll to ask you guys, which mistake do you find yourself making most often, right? Is it number 1, which is finding or looking for the right time, right? Or are you here like, I'm focusing on perfection too much, on this specific outcome, right? And boxing yourself into that. Or are you someone who just takes on more things, and just has a hard time reaching out for others for support, right? Your family, your friends, your neighbor, your colleagues. So which mistake do you find yourself making most often? That seems to be your thing.
Jocelyn, as I'm watching the answers coming in, I'm wondering if we should have had a all of the above. Do you think that happens to people?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you want to put in the chat, holla, that's me, all of them, yeah, definitely. You can say all of the above. I mean, guys, I share these because I've made them and I'm aware of it. So I have to like consciously remind myself of these things. So yeah, we make them. I make them.
Well, this is, I definitely identify with this, but Jocelyn, you should see the answers coming up on your screen now.
Yeah, finding the right time. I know, right? We think that it's like the right time is going to be when just this is settled or when that's settled. Yeah, I understand. Trust me. How many times in my head did I think, no, Jocelyn, just wait until a year? Literally, guys, I told myself, Jocelyn, just wait for a year. Wait a year. I don't know what was going to be different in a year, but I told myself, I made myself think in a year, things will be different. So that's when I'll take the leap. I mean, I can't tell for certain what would have happened in a year if I decided in December or whenever to change. But I'm telling you, we go in our heads for that the right time is around the corner, but we have to create it. So I definitely understand. Yeah, finding the right time. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to overcome, but I want to, now that you know, I think what is really important about this for you to recognize is that, everyone, is that you now know. You know, we talked about being a boss. Let's talk about the self-awareness piece. You now know, you recognize, ooh, yeah, I keep just searching for that right time, or I don't ever lean on support, or I don't do it enough. And I know that if I did, I would probably not feel so drained out. So now that you know, let's use that to your advantage, right? Now you know, hey, this is an area that I need a little support, and this is where I tend to not do so great. So let's now shift into the principles, the key things that you need to understand and really kind of like really believe in, so that you can actually now make steps forward and actually start enjoying more your day to day and feel like you are making progress, that you have clarity in terms of the direction that you want to go, and not feel so drained out in your day to day. Okay, so the 3 key principles to actually enjoying daily fulfillment are the following. First principle is self-care is self-confidence. What do I mean by this? If you don't feel well, right, in your day-to-day, if you just physically don't feel well, or mentally don't feel well, your energy is not so great, or your body is just always hurting or aching, if you're not feeling good, you're not going to feel very confident or motivated about having that conversation with your manager about getting a pay raise, or you're not going to be feeling very confident or motivated for an opportunity to lead a meeting in front of executives, right? Because how differently are you going to show up when you're feeling great, you got good energy, feeling good in your body, you're like, yeah, I crushed this. You're going to step into that conversation, that environment in a whole new way when you are taking care of yourself. So getting that good sleep, eating in the way that you know is good for you, having more movement in your day-to-day, because right now we all know we're sitting a lot working from home, and instead saying, you know what, I'm going to add some stretches, a little walk, right? So taking care of yourself actually builds your confidence. Because let me tell you, if you don't already know this, confidence is a skill. It's not a trait or that some people are born with and others are not. Confidence is a skill. So what that means is that you can build on it. Anyone, everyone can build their confidence, can build that skill. And taking care of yourself helps build your confidence. Because when you know how to take care of yourself, when you feel like right, you guys talked about what is a boss. There's a lot of comments about control, right? When you feel like you are under control, you got it together, when other things come in your way externally, you're like, I can handle, like, whoa, okay, that wasn't expected, but we can handle it. We got this, right? You're not like drained out and about to explode or feel frustrated or say like, oh my God, another thing. No, instead you're like, okay, let's take it one step at a time and let's handle it. So self-care is self-confidence. That's principle number 1. Principle number 2 is turning your goals into values. So let me give you an example. Is someone tells me, Jocelyn, I want to, this is a very, very common one. It's like, Jocelyn, I want to make more money. You're like, awesome. Okay, great. What does, let's go a little further. What does making more money, like, what does that mean to you? What does making more money offer for you? Like, well, it just, opens more opportunities. What kind of opportunities? And they're like, well, I want to start a family soon, and I want to provide a certain lifestyle for my family, for my kids. And then you're thinking, we're digging now deeper into what you truly value. It's not the money itself that you now make $120,000 for $80,000. It's not the money itself. What you want, what you value is that freedom of saying, I can provide the lifestyle that I most want for my family without having to worry about, my financial, like my finances. So what you value is that family, that sense of building that home for your family. And that is the core value. Making more money is a means to providing in the way that you want, right? But there's so many other ways of providing for your family that, yeah, okay, of course, money facilitates that, but that's not the only way. So when you say, I want to become manager by the end of the year, okay, great, to make more money. Well, then if you have your goal to say, I want to become manager by the end of the year so that I make more money, if that is your goal and you don't become a manager by the end of the year, you're going to be beating yourself up. You're going to be like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Casey over there got it, and I didn't do this. Instead of transferring and turning that goal of saying, I want to become a manager by the end of the year, instead of saying, what do you actually want? What do you value? Saying, I want to create a XYZ lifestyle for my future family. Boom. That is very different than pigeonholing yourself to say, I have to be manager by end of year, right? And saying that that's the only way that you can provide the kind of lifestyle that you want for your family. So that's the second principle, is saying, because your values, the important thing to know about this is your values are what give meaning and importance to what you really want. And it allows for changing circumstances. The goals that we typically write, those are the means. Those are not the ends. Those are just the means to achieving what actually is important to you. So that's the second principle, turning your goals into values. So now principle number 3 to having and creating daily fulfillment is this one. Some of you might be like, oh, okay, Jocelyn, that's a little like flowery for me, but it's real. It's real. The third principle is making your dreams greater than your fears. Right? When I share with you why this is important and why you really need to understand this to actually feel fulfilled in your day-to-day, at work, in your relationships, in life, and everything, is that, when I share with you my story about quitting my job, right, I shared with you those fears that I had of saying that I'm going to be a failure, that I'm going to be a laughingstock, that this is going to be a regret, or et cetera, et cetera. All these fears that were in my head, I was choosing before I made that decision. And when I was feeling that burnout and that fatigue and that drain, I was allowing those fears to dictate my life, right? Instead of allowing my dreams to say, you know what? I do want to be a business owner. I do want to be a positive impact in people's lives. I do want to help people build their health so that they can build the career of their dreams. Right? That was my dream. And I was putting that in the back burner. But instead, when I made that decision, I flipped it. I said, you know what? This dream is going to carry more weight than my fears. And I'm done shooting hoops with my fears. I'm done letting them shoot those hoops for me. I'm going to say, no, I'm going to shoot my own hoops. And you guys get to just chill on the sidelines. You're benched. And one final thing to that, what I want to say about fears is that no, they don't disappear. It's not that I don't ever think like, ooh, Jocelyn, I could just crash and burn. Like this dream of mine to have a business and making this work just could not work out. Or like maybe it just doesn't work out. But instead I'm saying, no, my dream is to say, this is my values are I want to help empower people, with their health so that they can build the life of their dreams and to build the career of their dreams. That is what I value. So what I'm doing my day-to-day follows that. And those fears are just going to have to stay there. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? Cool, but I'm still shooting my own hoops. So they're there, but they haven't gone away. They're not gone, but they don't carry the weight that they used to. And final thing I'll say is the more you make your dreams greater than your fears, the easier it becomes. Because you say, I've done this before. That was scary. I could do it again. So that is the third principle, and one that I just hold very near and dear, because that is going to actually bring you so much more fulfillment in your day-to-day and joy when you say my dreams are more important than my fears. All right, so I want to ask you guys, now that you know the 3 principles to actually having more fulfillment in your day-to-day, I want to ask you, which one of these principles do you feel most inspired by? Is it the first one of self-care, self-confidence, and knowing that, wow, confidence is a skill. It's something that I can build. It's not something that I'll never have. No, I can build that by taking care of myself. Or is it number 2, where you're saying, hey, I can transform my goals into my values so that I align more succinctly my what I value, what's important to me, with my actions, and not pigeonhole myself. Or number 3, is it saying, you know what, the fears are scary, my fears are a little scary, but you know what, I'm inspired because I want my dreams to carry more weight. I want these dreams that I have for myself, what I envision for myself, to carry more weight. So which one do you feel most inspired by? Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Oh my goodness, there's like a very equal playing field here. Cool. Sorry, just fascinated by this. Awesome. Okay, so the one is, making your dreams greater than your fears. Yep. I understand self-care for self-confidence. Yes, it's beautiful because you know that it's in your control. It's within you. You can do this, right? And transforming your goals into values. Yes. And saying, hey, how can I align my thoughts with my actions in a way that I know is going to make me happy. So that's great. Thank you guys for sharing. So now this is the best part of the workshop. Well, just kidding. It's all great. The part I love is this final piece of sharing, the framework with you. And so I want to ask you guys, are you ready to actually understand and know the framework to get started to saying, hey, I'm putting those fears aside and I'm going to take steps, practical and actionable steps to get into my most fulfilled life in work and in life. So are you guys ready? I'm ready. I'm pumping up my arms. You guys can say like, yeah, it's ready, or I'm just gonna stay silently here and do my own movements. All right, so let's now talk about the 3-step, what I like to call holistic empowerment framework. So number one, first step to overcoming your burnout and that fatigue and that sense of just confusion and uncertainty is what we've talked about, right? Is creating your value-based goals. So, and understanding, and so what you can do, guys, today is those goals that you have back from, let's say, that you created over your New Year's resolutions or New Year's intentions, or even that you created this past week. Grab those goals that you created for yourself, that you typed in or have in a list, ask yourself like the deeper question and redefine it into, what does this goal of, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, or hey, I want to work out 5 times a week, or hey, I want to become a manager. What is this actually, what is this reflecting? What is the deeper value behind this, right? What is this offering you? What is this bringing you? So that you can start working through that process of, again, creating value-based goals. It takes time, it takes work, but just keep asking yourself, like, why? Why is this important? What does this offer me? What does this bring for me? So creating value-based goals is step number one for you to get the clarity that you need so that you can say, you know what, I'm opening and expanding the opportunities for myself. And instead of pigeonholing to this only outcome of working out 5 times a week, or again, I have to meditate every day, something like that. That is, what does it offer you? What does the daily meditation offer you? What does working out give you, right? So asking those questions. And that's what I help clients with, is getting that clarity to understand so that they themselves know how to create and understand what the deeper value is within these goals that you create for yourself. Because your beliefs, again, these beliefs, these values are going to feed into your actions, right? We're starting this alignment. And so step number 2 is establishing those mindful self-care practices. So this step number 2, is where you're now going to reinforce these new goals, these new value-based goals that you set for yourself. You're going to reinforce that with action. And I put intentionally, I've said mindful self-care because, for example, if you set a goal for yourself of, I want to bring more peace, mental peace and calm into my day-to-day. That is a goal you have. Beautiful. That's value-based. I want to bring more mental peace and calm into my day-to-day. And for example, right now, what you're doing is you do HIIT workouts 5 times a week. And instead you actually feel like just so like still very wired up and like pumped up, amped up. And it's actually not bringing you the sense of, I'll say, calm and peace that you say you're looking for. So at that point, that practice is not that it's not a good practice. I'm saying, how can we align your self-care to those goals and saying, you know what, we're opening or expanding our minds, right? The opportunity of saying, if I want to bring more mental peace and calm into my day-to-day, HIIT workouts, actually, I've noticed somehow I just feel more aggressive actually afterwards. And that's not really what I'm looking for. So maybe I need to reevaluate what my new self-care practice is going to be. And perhaps that's going for a walk instead, or perhaps that is, right, meditating. But the point is the possibilities are endless. So that's, but the step number 2 is mindfully saying, what action is going to support my new value-based goal? Okay, so that's step number 2. And then step number 3, to, again, start aligning your thoughts with your actions and starting to transition out of your burnout, is the third element of leaning on your network, leaning on supportive relationships. Because we talked about, right, the mistake of going at it alone. Some of you shared that, because this final piece to this 3-piece holistic framework is key. because so many of us, and I could say for myself too, I could say like, hey, these are my New Year's resolutions, cool. And oh, these are the habits and routines that I'm going to get into, cool. And I can do them, I can execute them. But then what happens when perhaps you're not feeling so motivated or you're having an off day, right? This third piece of involving your family or your friends, your partner, or someone into your new direction is now you have people that can not only support you and, root for you, but then also, again, just offer that helping hand, say like, hey, Jocelyn, I know that one of your goals was, again, you shared with me, you want to bring more mental peace and calm into your day to day, and that you are doing meditations every morning. But lately you've been struggling with that because, I don't know, you just don't find that you can get into the right headspace or something like that. Like you just are not really getting into, well, you have a person that you've told about this. Like, you know what? I've learned about this awesome app called XYZ that can really help get you, into that space so you don't feel like you're having to force yourself into this meditative space that you just can't seem to get into. Boom. Right? How much easier, instead of, if you didn't lean on that person or involve them somehow in what you're up to, what you're doing, then you're way less likely to get back into your routine and back into your groove. So this 3-step framework, I like to call it, when you're in the zone, in the middle, and you're doing these 3 things like seamlessly, I like to call it the B.O.S.S zone. Because, right, you are self-aware. You have created your values, you know what your beliefs are. You have the optimistic view. And then the routine, right? You are taking care of yourself and you're doing the actions, you're building that self-confidence, right? And the final piece of saying you have the support system to help you in your day-to-day, in your growth. And this is all important because in doing this, you no longer will feel bogged down or overwhelmed, because you will have the clarity and focus of the direction that you want to go. You will have the actions that are supporting, your vision. And thirdly, you're going to have that support system backing you up when perhaps you're not really feeling it. So that is the holistic framework for daily fulfillment in your life, work, life, and all of it. And you can apply this structure to any part of your life. You can apply it to, again, a work thing, a health related thing. This applies to anything. So now that you have this amazing framework, this empowered framework for you to actually take action and steps towards feeling fulfilled in your day-to-day, I want to share with you a very exciting opportunity that I want to offer all of you here, all the BU alumni, about how you can take it to the next level. So I want to offer all of you here a free 30-minute empowerment call, where that first step that we talked about creating value-based goals, we're going to do that together. We're going to create one together. You're going to bring to me a goal that you have, and we're going to walk through that process of understanding how to make it into a value-based goal so that you have the clarity that you've been looking for and searching for in terms of how do I proceed? How do I take the next step? And we'll do that together. And so all you need to do is you go to my website, jocelynwellness.com. I don't know if Jeff, you can help me with perhaps putting that in the chat or something. Go to jocelynwellness.com. Right there at the very beginning, you'll see empowerment call right here. Click on that, and you're going to have a free 30-minute session with me where we can go over creating your value-based goal so that you have the clarity that you need to get you started with aligning those thoughts that are in your mind, that vision that you have for yourself, with day-to-day action. Okay? So those are your next steps. take advantage of this. This is a wonderful opportunity for all of you here. I want to empower you. I want to help you, specifically help you with your goals, because I know that you all here are a boss. You've all been brave. You've all been optimistic. You all have self-awareness. You all have confidence. And now we're taking it and stepping into it fully, with intention, so that you can get back into your rhythm and your groove and step out of that burnout. So just want to say to everyone here, thank you so much for being a part of this workshop. I hope you found it incredibly valuable and rewarding. And again, don't miss out. Go to my website, jocelynwellness.com. Jeff put it on the chat. Just click on it and you will see right there on the first page, empowerment call. Thank you, Jamie. Glad you enjoyed it. There's more of this. So this is just like, guys, this is just like what's it called? Like the seasoning, like this, it's just like a little sprinkle. You get so much more when we work one-on-one. So 30 minutes, this is like then the cake. You just got a little sprinkle, but you get a whole cake. Oh, thank you, Claudia, Sandra, Vinay. Sorry if I'm pronouncing Andrea. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second, in case I like seeing people, even though I only see myself and Jeff. Thanks,
Unfortunately,
Jeff.
all you're going to see is me today, which I can go ahead and turn my camera off to make that better. We did get one question that came in from Jamie in the chat, and it was when you were going over your the common mistakes that people that are holding them back, and I think the question specifically came in when you were talking about going at it alone. And Jamie's question was whether or not you see that going at it alone affecting women more than men. Is that something that you've run into in your practice?
Great question. So it's funny. Well, from my personal experience, from clients I've worked with, I'd say it's actually pretty even. I think it depends where we turn to for help. I think that's the difference I've noticed. Is like for what situations or what scenarios is when we turn for help. Because I have male and female clients, and I've just noticed that for both parties, it's challenging, but for different areas of their life. So but that's a great question. Thank you for that. Anyone else have any other questions?
We've run up against the hour here, and I think we hit all the questions that came in, but I obviously, people can follow. You shared your email address, you shared your website, and I know that you're open to talking more about this. That offer you made of 30 minutes is incredibly generous. And I know that is quite a bit of time for you to offer. So thank you for doing that. And I want to say I personally, very much of this personally resonated with me. And I also really appreciated how you shared a very personal story with us today. And I don't think that's always easy for folks to do with literally people around the world. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing your experience and expertise with the university community around the world. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, BU. I'm happy to be here, and of course, hope to help more of you and hear from you too.
I also want to thank everybody for tuning in, particularly those of you who've donated to the university in the past. We really appreciate your support. I also want to make sure everybody, you might have noticed this words over my head, BU Connects. I want to make sure that if you haven't already, you join this BU exclusive networking and mentoring community. It's a great place to find other people from the BU community willing to help, willing to be a mentor. So many of the things that we kind of talked about today, having those people to run by and that support network. Those are all things you can do on BU Connects. It's for alumni, students, faculty, and staff. Everybody's there, and it's very obvious who's raised their hand to help each other out with introductions, networking, all kinds of things. So make sure you just visit buconnects.com. My pro tip is you can save a lot of time by creating your profile by signing in with LinkedIn. You can pull all of your LinkedIn profile information over to your BU Connects profile. Again, buconnects.com, and always you can see all the upcoming events on the Alumni Association website. So do check out what we've got coming up next. And thank you again, Jocelyn. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your participation.
Have a great day or a great night, wherever you may be. Take care.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.